Oh yeah, the Pops, babe.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome into A Toast of Film, guys. Is our favorite time of the year. Best of, worst of. Everyone gets to say their opinions. Some are wrong, some are right, and some just make me want to scream because I got my great friend Corey back on the pod. Santa Corey over here.
Hey, hey, how's it going?
And we have a running theme in our friendship that
Mm-hmm.
is how is he going to betray me with his worst of the year list with a horror movie? So let's not, no further ado. It's the end of the year. We're going to try and give y'all different people's list every day of the week if I can help it. Starting tonight with Corey. So, Corey, start us off with your worst of the year. And you can say your dishonorable mentions if you have any first before you get into the actual what you
Okay.
consider the worst.
Well, I don't really have that many dishonorable mentions, but I do have
Good.
9 worst movies of the year.
Yeah.
And you'll see that there's kind of a running theme here
Oh, God.
to a certain extent. You want me to start with 9 and then go to 1, or you want me to go from 1 to 9?
Go 9-1. No, we gotta
9 to 1.
build up to what you consider the worst of the year.
All right. So my number 9 is a movie called Slingshot,
Oh
with
yeah,
Lawrence Fishburne and I can't remember the other guy's name.
Casey Affleck, the
Casey
non,
Affleck. Yeah,
yeah, the non Ben Affleck.
the non-Ben. Yes. Um, Dude, I thought this movie was just so boring. Very poorly written, phoned in performances by everybody, and then the plot twist you figure out like in the first half of the movie, and which
Mm-hmm.
makes the rest of it just like a complete slog. It was
Mm.
like unoriginal story had been told before. There was nothing about it that I actually enjoyed. It was one of those AMC screen unscreen things.
Yep.
And so I had been like on a streak where it was like good movie, good movie, good movie. I knew that I was in for a bad one, and it just so happens that this happened to be the one.
Yeah.
Really bad. Slingshot. Don't watch it.
I still
Number
haven't
eight.
seen it, so
Don't. You don't need to. Number 8 was Spaceman, the Adam Sandler movie on Netflix,
Space.
where
Oh,
he's like this astronaut, on this mission, and he's out there all alone,
with the
and
big spider
with the big spider in it, yeah. And I was just like,
that
I
keeps
don't.
calling him skinny. That was my big issue with this. I'm like, dude, you wrote this script. Why you got to make the spider call you skinny?
Yeah, it was awful. I just thought it was a really dumb movie to have this guy alone in his, solitude in space, just to realize
Mm,
that he treats his wife like crap. I'm like, you could have done
yeah,
this at home. Like it was nothing appealing to it at all. The spider really didn't add anything. It was almost like their attempt at trying to do an A24 kind of twist on a
yeah.
movie by adding this talking spider, and it just did nothing. I
It's
just
like,
thought it
babe,
was
they
really.
got couples counseling on Earth. You
I
don't need
mean,
this spider.
yeah, you don't need to go to space to do that. So that was really boring. I hated Spaceman. Number 7 was Harold and the Purple Crayon, the Zachary Levi
Oof,
movie based off of a kid's
I saw
book.
this one.
I saw that one alone in the theater, thank God, because I was able to like do my own mystery science theater going on. It was really bad.
Just this
um,
grown guy and Harold in the purple crayon. What's this
Dude,
crayon doing?
I think I laughed like maybe twice. And I think
Mm-hmm.
it could be cute for kids, but it was one of those movies that was like it was a little too kiddie, for me. It
Yeah.
was just like too simple, too cheesy, too like almost like a kid was reading it straight from the book. Like it just didn't do anything for me. The best thing
See
about that
that?
movie, though, go ahead.
Oh no, you go.
I was just gonna say the
I was
only
just gonna
thing that
say, oh god. I'm sorry,
The,
but
the only thing that I was going to say good about that movie was I could see, and this is going to sound really weird, is that I could see Zachary Levi playing a modern day Pee Wee Herman. So if they decided to reboot the Pee Wee's Playhouse or make a new Pee Wee's Big Adventure, I could see Zachary Levi playing that role. He had this very innocent, playful acting ability in this movie that for some odd reason Pee Wee Herman just popped in my head.
dang,
Did you picture that?
that's actually not a bad, because he's been on this track lately, where he's doing like he's going more into the family and children dynamic,
Yeah.
because he's got that movie coming out where he has like a son who's autistic.
Yep.
And he did that movie where he was the football player.
Yep.
What I was going to say, though, to your point, is people don't understand there is a vast difference between a children's film and a family film.
Exactly.
And this, like you said, is a children's film where no one other than a child is going to enjoy this. Whereas a family film, whether you're 5, 15, or 50, you can get some enjoyment out of it.
Yep. That's exactly right. So that was number 7.
Mm-hmm.
Number 6 is I saw the TV Glow.
I still haven't seen this.
A24. It looked promising. It totally was an A24 weird type of movie. I missed it in the theater, and I was able to watch it on HBO Max a couple of months ago. And it was just one of those metaphorical, it was like an annoying metaphorical film about struggling with identity issues. And it was very abstract, very artistic, to a very, in my opinion, straightforward story. And I would have rather had stayed in a traditional drama with this type of movie instead of adding all this extra abstract A24 stuff to it throughout the entire film. Like, I feel like sometimes A24 does a really good job of putting a straightforward drama out there and then adding a little twist maybe at the end or something like that that's more of their A24 style. And that's okay with me. But when you do it throughout the entire film and it's a really simple story that you have to like pull back all these layers to try and understand what's going on, it just drove me batty. Yeah, I didn't like, I mean, I felt like the acting was fine. I'm trying to figure out who the lead actor was, because I really like him. Hold on, what is his name? He's been in a lot of other things. Justice Smith. I really like Justice Smith, and I felt like his acting was really well. But just the story itself, like I said, it was just too abstract, too many metaphors of things that really could have been more impactful if it was just more straightforward. So it wasn't the worst, but it wasn't. It was in the middle of the worst. Like I could take it or leave it. Number 5 was A Family Affair. With that was with it was the older woman who was trying to have an affair with Zac Efron. It was on Netflix.
I haven't seen that either.
Terrible. Absolutely terrible. Everybody was phoning it in there. The comedy doesn't work at all. I felt like both lead actors should have been ashamed to take that paycheck. And I'm trying to think who it was. It was Zac Efron and Nicole Kidman. That's who it was. Zac Efron and Nicole Kidman. Terrible movie. And Netflix has an issue with making their movies anyway. Most of them are bad.
Yeah.
And this was definitely one of them.
They think just because they got Stranger Things, that everything they print's going to be gold.
Yeah. I mean, and I will applaud Netflix only because they do put out a lot of content. Like, they are the one streaming service that does have a ton of content. Their catalog is huge.
Yeah.
But when it comes to their movies, they're severely lacking. Number 4 would be Red Rocket, another A24 film.
Oh, I know about this movie.
Oof.
Was that this year?
Yeah, I believe
The
so.
the one with old buddy, he's like a stripper or a porn star or something.
Yeah, Simon Rex. Was that
Yeah,
not this year?
I don't know, dude. Here's the problem that we have to discuss with like indie films
Yeah,
is they make them, they do festivals, they release them, and by the time they finally come out, I don't remember when they actually came out.
I
But look, if
agree.
you watched it this year, my rule is if you watch it in a year, then it counts. So
Okay, good.
tell me about Red Rocket because I didn't watch it, but I do know the film you're referring to.
It's like, again, one of those movies where it's trying to be funny and it's not for me. Comedy is very subjective, and none of the
Mm-hmm.
comedy worked in this. I felt like it was very boring. I know you have an issue with characters that are unlikable,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt like a lot of the characters, probably 90 or 95% of the characters in this movie, were unlikable.
Mm-hmm.
None of them had any redeeming qualities. The lead, Simon Rex, who's this ex porn star that's trying to get back to his stardom, but he goes back to this old small town,
Mm-hmm.
is lusting over this underage girl, which is
Ew,
completely disgusting. I
that's
was like,
gross.
why would I be following this guy? Why would I be rooting for this guy? You know, the plot itself is nothing that you want to follow or that makes you intrigued as to what's going to happen next at all. It's just a sad movie. Not sad like as in tone, but just a sad like story that they put together.
Yeah, I didn't know
Um, I
that part.
yeah, I don't know anybody who would be interested in something like this. Um,
Sickos.
Sickos, you know. And it also made me sad only because the director Sean Baker did the
Oh
Florida
yeah.
Project, and I loved the Florida
He
Project.
also did Honora,
Yeah, which I haven't seen yet.
which is
So,
incredible.
and see, that's what I was concerned about because I was like, I love the Florida Project. I hated Red Rocket.
And
What am I
see,
going to
I
think about
hate the
Honora?
Florida Project.
See, well,
So
so
I
he has that, you
he
know,
has the ebb
balance.
and flow.
He has the ebb and flow, right? Exactly. A lot like, you know, M Night Shyamalan or
Yeah.
somebody like that, you know. So I'm interested to see Honora, but based off of this one, I'm like, gonna be two in a row that might be
Trust
bad
me
for
on
me.
this. Trust me on Honora.
Okay.
Trust your boy.
Um. So Red Rocket, I would not even waste my time,
Trash.
especially
Yeah.
you, since I know you don't like. There's, you know, if it's unlikable characters,
Oh, trust me.
get
I
a turn off.
saw a film yesterday that's going to be my worst of the year that involves two terrible people.
Yeah. So pass on Red Rocket. Number
Mm.
3 was Drive Away Dolls.
Oh, I was so excited for this movie,
You
and
know,
what you get, like who is this? Who's the audience for this?
I have no idea. A very sluggish, raunchy comedy that's very forced, shock value plot points.
Very forced raunchy, like
I mean, like from the
kissing
very
kissing and
beginning.
sex like every 5 minutes.
Yes. And I'm like, you don't have any build up to the characters to get them to develop and
Yeah.
love one another so that you're on board with loving them. It's just like immediately
Yeah.
it's just like I
Or
was like, this is so forced.
what I hate too is Margaret Qualley's such a good actress. Geraldine Vetswani's such a good actress.
Yep.
And this, like, had it been a even decent movie, like Margaret Qualley's already rising because she did like Kinds of Kindness, she did The
Yeah.
Substance this year,
Yeah. Yeah.
but like Geraldine's always been kind of roadblocked, and this could have really catapulted her,
Mhm.
but it's
Mhm.
just not good.
Yeah, it was really bad. And then I think we talked about this before about the psychedelic images that was going on with the characters,
That
and
made
they weren't
me
even under
with
any influence
Miley
at all.
Cyrus. It's like, here, let's show you a few minutes of a psychedelic that
Yeah.
like half makes sense at the end.
Yeah.
Barely.
And they weren't even under the influence. I'm like, what are you doing? What? Why?
They didn't even
Why?
drive away. They drove. They didn't even drive away though. 2 points off for not driving away. They weren't even dolls. They were people.
Number 2 was Lisa Frankenstein.
Oh, that one
Um,
hurts.
Again, I thought the premise would have been really good. I felt like it was going to be kind of a Edward Scissorhands, or there was another movie that I was like, okay, this kind of feels like was it My Boyfriend's Dead? I think is what I saw in the 1990s, I think, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting story. Again, great actors in the movie, but terrible dialogue and terrible comedy, and it was just really slow.
I'll give you that. I have a certain like love for it because the lead, I just thought she was so funny in the movie because she just is being so weird. But to what you're saying, at one point this movie was like in my honorable mention. Like this is early, okay, March.
Right.
But then like it's been one where after April I was like, yeah, this isn't making it. It's cute, but it's just not the best.
For me, it was disappointing also because of Diablo Cody, who wrote Juno,
Yeah.
and I love Juno.
Love
And
Juno.
so the comedy and what they wrote for this movie just didn't live up to the standards of what I thought was going to be there when I saw the promotion. And then of course the number one worst movie on probably everybody's list for this entire year is Madam Web.
Funny enough, not even in my dishonorable mention.
You're kidding.
I've seen worse, Corey. I've seen worse.
There's no way.
I'll text you my list. I've seen worse.
There's absolutely no way.
Corey, what are you talking about? Don't you remember the amazing CG at the beginning when the spider people are running through the trees?
Dude.
Don't you remember the incredible dialogue the villain was saying that was not synced to his lips? Don't you remember how bad every single scene was? And yet, Corey, I have seen worse this year. I saw worse yesterday. I will rewatch Madam Web for every day for a year before I rewatch what I watched yesterday.
Okay, I will say this: it's a great drinking game.
Oh, fantastic!
It's a great drinking game, and it's a great something you just want to laugh at, like just to put it on and just hysterically laugh at it and create your own, like I said, mystery.
They should do auditions for Mystery Science Theater. It's like, all right, we're gonna give you a layup.
Yeah.
Mystery Science Theater, this movie, and put on Madam Web.
Absolutely.
Because if you can't do it for Madam Web, then what are you even doing?
I don't know.
Did you see Craven?
I did.
Did you notice there were a couple of scenes where they didn't sync the lips up when someone was talking? I'm like, how on earth? This is a supposedly respected company, and you can't sync the lips? Like, disgusting.
They didn't learn their lessons from Madam Web.
Disgusting.
They must have edited them at the same time.
No, it was Madam Web. That was the whole thing. She was in her wheelchair with her little shades. Like the movie zooming around.
And here's the thing: you have one shot in this entire movie where the trio is there, dressed in their costumes.
Yeah.
That's what we want to see.
That's a dream. That's a dream. It's not even real.
No.
And
that's what we should have went to see.
Dude, do you know how many people, if you were like, check it, we're going to give you Sydney Sweeney and Isabelle Marseille, how many people would lose their minds?
Yep.
But it's okay. Sydney Sweeney, she's still doing good.
She is.
Isabelle Marseille is going to be Hawk Girl in the Superman movie. So it's okay. It's okay. Everybody who we wanted to survive this movie survived.
Right. But yeah, you can forget that. So that's my worst 9.
Madam Web coming, slinging soon to a theater near you. Okay, so we always got to get the worst out the way first.
Yeah.
But now, Corey, let's get lighter. let's be like when Madam Web said those great quotes that
Mm-hmm.
anyone on this planet can definitely name a quote from that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm so choked up I can't think of one right now. But let's get your best of year first. But first, do you have any honorable mentions?
Of best of the year?
Best of the year.
Oh yeah. Hold on. As a matter of fact,
I'm
I will.
surprised. I was worried because I think we've talked before. You don't like demonic stuff,
No,
like spooky stuff like that. So I was really scared like either Immaculate or First Omen was gonna be on your worst of the year.
I didn't see either one of them
Okay, that's
because of
good.
that.
That's
Because of
good.
that reason.
Good. That's what we want.
Yeah, I didn't see either one of them because of that reason. I don't want to torture myself too much, right?
Unlike me, where I'm like, this is the worst movie of the year. I need to see this tomorrow.
So I can give you a couple of honorable mentions for my best 13 that just barely didn't make the list.
Okay.
They got high scores from Letterboxd of like 4 and 5 stars on my list, but whenever I do my top 13 or my worst 9, it's like stuff that I'll continue to watch over and over,
Yeah.
or stuff that I have bought the physical media or something like that,
Yeah.
or that kind of thing. So
Something
that's why
that
they
gave an impression, an impact.
exactly. It's not that it's not a good movie because I didn't put it on my top 13. It's just
Mm.
that it's not one of those ones where I could just continue to talk about it over and over. So one of them was Superman, the Christopher Reeve story.
Oh yeah.
Loved that movie. Beautiful, beautiful documentary about his life. You learn some things that you didn't know before. Like I personally, and I know it's gonna sound weird, but like I did not know how close friendship he had with Robin Williams
Yeah, I didn't know that.
throughout his whole life, and I mean like seriously deep connections
Holy
between him and
smokes.
Robin Williams. And there's certain things that people say about their relationship that I'm just like, that's crazy to me. So you learn different things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a huge Superman fan, and he is my Superman. But not only that, I just think that he's a great actor, and human being
Mm-hmm.
that it really was gripping and a great remembrance of his life. So Superman, the Christopher Reeve story, is definitely an honorable mention. It's on Max right now.
I still gotta check it out. I haven't seen it.
You should check it out. Conclave barely missed my list.
This is on my watch list on Peacock.
It barely missed my list. That was a great story, great acting, a very interesting uh, climax.
Whoa, are you sure that's the word you want to use?
That's the word I'm gonna use.
Okay.
It's a talker. It's a
Yeah,
definite talker.
that's what I've
Um,
heard. I'm very interested in that one.
yes, so I highly recommend Conclave. I expected to get tons of Oscar noms. Um,
Mm-hmm.
let's see, another one that didn't make the list would be Thelma
Oh,
with uh, June Squibb.
yeah.
Hilarious, cute movie. Adorable. I love her to death. I think
That woman.
it's a very great This is what the Beekeeper was trying to do.
Don't you
I know
talk about the beekeeper.
it's a weird it's a weird connection of where somebody trying to prey off of older people, how to take advantage of older people, right? And so remove the action part of Beekeeper and take the story plot of Beekeeper and the story plot of Thelma, and they're very similar. But I think Thelma does a much better job at it.
Hey, don't you talk about the beekeeper.
Hey, the
Hey,
Beekeeper,
hey,
that's
beekeeper
some,
was 5 stars, my guy.
no, it is tasteless honey. That is sour honey that those bees were
This is
putting out.
the audacity moment. You faked me out with your worst 9, and you betray me with the beekeeper.
The Beekeeper is terrible.
I'll have
Um,
you know, beekeeper was of my top 13. It's number 14. It's right there, my guy.
Really?
Yeah, dude. You tell me Jason Statham's gonna go beat up some punks, robbing old folks, burning the buildings down. I'm like,
but it's nothing. It's nothing different than we've seen Jason Statham do. Like,
whoa.
and
You
that's
don't.
probably just
Oh, mate, you don't do that to Jason Statham. I don't know why I decided to make him Australian in that moment, but I did. But look, let's stop harping on the beekeeper. Thelma,
okay.
you've told me this before. Thelma's very good. It's on my list. I got a
Thelma's
lot of stuff
very
on my
good.
list.
Here, I'll rattle off a couple. Just give you
Okay.
two more. Thelma is definitely should be on your list. Kneecap should be on your list.
Kneecap's on my list.
Kneecap. What was the other one that I had that was really good? Diddy.
Oh yeah, Didi. You told me to add that one. It's on my Peacock list.
Didi was really good, and also Touch, and that's on Peacock as well.
Okay,
Touch is the one about the guy who was in a relationship with someone when he was over in Korea, I believe. It's kind of like past lives.
Oh, okay.
They separate, and he's trying to find his true love again, and after years and years and years, very sweet, heartbreaking movie. Touch. You should check that out.
I'm adding it to the list.
That is on Peacock as well. Really, really sweet movie. But let's get into the nitty gritty.
I'm adding Touch to my watch list.
Awesome. Okay, so my top 13.
Before you start, let me say this. I know 2 of your movies.
Do you?
I'm fairly certain. One is one we share. That's in both our top 13s because we had a big discussion about this one.
Okay.
The other one, I'll have you know, I started out hating. Mm-hmm. You were on this is one of the best movies of the year. Mm-hmm. I'll have you know, before we even get to it, I have come around.
Okay.
Where I've watched so many bad movies. I'm like, look, I might disagree with how this film was put together. I might disagree with how unlikable the characters are. But there is no denying this is one of the most well-filmed, most well-made, well-acted films of the year. So I just had to get that away. I had to get that away. Look, I'll tell folks all the time, I'm a very passionate person, but I can admit when I, come to a different conclusion.
Right.
So I had to get that off my chest. I know what 2 years are, which has me excited because I have no idea where you could even go with the others.
Okay.
That's 11
I've changed it up a couple times. And I will say this is that because you said this just a minute ago that you saw a lot of bad movies. I have seen so many bad movies this year, and the thing is like it was very difficult, honestly, to come up with a top 13 because everything was just like it was good, but it wasn't like great compared to what I had last year.
Yeah.
That I'm just like, there's not a whole lot that I'm going on and on and on about. Like, I was watching somebody else make some list of stuff, and I said, was that this year or was that last year? And then come to find out all the ones that I was raving about was the ones from last year. So my list is good, but there's nothing on there that I'm like, you gotta see this and blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm not even 100% sure that I'm excited about the Oscars this year. Only because
I'm not too much.
Yeah.
It's like one of those years where there's some good films, but there's not a lot of holy crap, my guy.
Exactly.
Except one movie, which I know if it's on your list, I genuinely might have a heart attack. There's the smallest shot it's on your list. So we'll find out. Okay, look, let me stop jibber jabber and let me let you know, ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth, the legend, Corey Tatum presents his best 13 of 2024.
Number 13 is going to shock everyone because this will be on no one's top 13 list. I guarantee it. But Number 13 is Red One with Dwayne Johnson.
I'll tell you this, my guy. It's in consideration for my honorable mention.
Okay.
Dude, I've seen it twice in theaters. I watched it on Prime. Dude, no, solid pick.
I do not get the hate for this movie.
I don't either. Like, what do you want? It's freaking The Rock with Santa Claus. Like, let's not act like we're sitting here making Schindler's List.
Thank you. Me and my buddy, when we went to the theater, like we had seen the promos over and over and over again. I was like, this just looks, I don't know. Like, I'm just like, this doesn't really look that good. And so we went in with low expectations, but we had a ball the whole time watching it.
I still, because we just, we had like our squad, like Christmas this past weekend.
Yeah.
And they hadn't seen Red One. So we were all up, like, I went and got us some breakfast. I was like, look, y'all, tuck in. Let's watch Red One. And they loved it. It's just, it's fun. It has like some nice Christmas spirit, like the end with The Rock. Yep. And one thing I love, dude, Krampus, Buddy just wants to party and hit people.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. He doesn't want to like destroy the world. He doesn't want to kill anybody. He just wants to party. I love that his version of the sleigh.
Yeah.
It's like Krampus, who. Like, it gets you hyped, man.
Yes. My wife said the same thing. She didn't go to the theater, so we watched it. I think the 23rd, right before Christmas. And I said, you got to watch it. I think you'll really like it. And she's not a big Dwayne Johnson fan either. And we laughed the whole time.
It's
she had a smile on her face the whole time. And she specifically said, I love the Krampus sleigh when it was good. She said, I thought that was so cool. We love the mythological, creatures. She wanted she was like, I want a Headless Horseman movie now, because that was just a really cool effect. The Witch, I thought, looked really cool.
Yeah, Sabrina as a Gryla. I was like, that's cool that they bring in Gryla.
Yeah, I thought that was really, really cool. And it's just fun. Like I said, it was just, the world is so cynical right now, dude. Yeah. And like everything is so sarcastic and so drab and so, and serious, that it was just one of those movies that eventually, I've just had a really fun time going to see this movie that doesn't have a whole lot of cursing, doesn't have any cool humor. It's rated PG, and it's like, and The Rock was not doing his typical Rock shtick. He was not over the top. He was not dominating the film. He was very subtle in his acting. But I just thought it was great.
Hey, you want to know who appreciates it?
What? Who?
So, critics, 176 reviews, 30%. Okay. Audience, over 5,000 reviews, averaged it at 90% out of 100.
See?
They get it. It's just a fun movie. And dude, J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
Fantastic Santa.
He was a great Santa. I didn't really 100% care for the fact that they put him on the sidelines. Because I didn't like him as a Santa.
But at least we got that really like good opener.
Yeah.
With him at the mall, and then him in the sleigh.
Him in the sleigh, and him actually delivering the presents and stuff. I thought
really at the end where he's like stretching.
Yes, and I loved how they pay it back, the resizing of the Rock's tool. Yeah. And then utilize it with Santa to show how he gets in and out of the chimney.
Like how he does the chimney.
Totally made sense, right?
Fantastic.
So that was great. I don't know what the word is, but it was just great that they actually established that and then paid it off in the end. So I put, is it the best looking Christmas movie CGI? No. Is it the best Christmas movie? No, but it's totally one that I would have no problem watching every year if if it was on.
No, I would put this in the rotation.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just fun. Number 12 is a movie that surprised me, was Love Lies Bleeding.
Oh,
with
okay.
Katie O'Brien and Kristen
Yeah.
Stewart. It sat on me, and I thought about it for so long after I saw that movie, and I kept coming back to it in my mind over the months after I'd seen it when it first was released, and then I watched it again on Max, and it's just, I think this is what Drive Away Dolls should have been.
Yeah. I mean, there's very a lot of similarities.
Yeah,
And for me, I loved it because you get Katie O'Brien,
yes,
fantastic actress, but she's always a
yes,
side character.
yes.
Like she usually plays like a general or something, she's
Hmm.
usually like a soldier of some sorts. She's
Hmm.
always on the side though. But this to see her lead
Yeah,
and be this character that wants to be this bodybuilder no matter the cost
yep, yep,
and the horrificness of like professional bodybuilding at points.
yep, yep, exactly. And it does a really good job of establishing a really wonderful relationship between her and Kristen Stewart.
Hmm.
I really bought into the relationship where she would do anything to try and help protect Kristen Stewart, because there is
Hmm.
that one scene with her brother-in-law
Oh yeah.
that I'm just like, that, as gruesome as it is, I could totally justify what she did, right?
Hmm.
And that's important when you're trying to build a relationship between two characters. And so, and honestly, when you said that she's on the sidelines, Katie O'Brien's on the sidelines all the time, I honestly didn't even know who she was when I saw this movie. And I had to go back and look, and I was like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
blah blah blah. So I thought that this was her debut role, and if it was, she totally knocked it out of the park. Which she kind of did, because this is her debut role because she's in the lead, right?
Yeah.
But like the soundtrack and the cinematography, the editing, I just thought it was a great movie, and they add some A24
Yeah,
here and
I
there.
was gonna say, dude, the scene where she's at the competition,
Yep, yep.
that scene does not go the way people think it's gonna go.
Not at all. And so I was a little taken back from that, right?
Yeah.
And so it notched down from a 5 star to like 4.5, maybe 4,
Mhm.
because of that scene, and because of the ending scene with her getting really large.
Yeah, that one that I knew that was coming from the trailer, but how they add it in, I
Yeah,
did think was kind of bizarre for the moment.
yeah, yeah. So it's another one of those, again, that I felt like if they had taken away those two little weird parts, but it didn't really take away the film for me at all, that it would have gotten even higher score. But I really love Lives Bleeding. I thought it was really great. Um, number 11.
I was gonna say, whoa, not number 3, but
Sorry, I'm going the wrong way. Number 11 is Ezra.
oh yeah, you told me about this.
Yes, with Robert De Niro
Mhm.
and
That one
oh,
comedian dude,
yeah, I can never remember his name, but he's always someone who's a lot like Katie O'Brien, who's like off to the sidelines doing things,
cracking jokes.
and cracking jokes, and I haven't really necessarily bought into his comedy all the time,
Yeah.
but his comedy in this movie, because he does play a stand-up comic, fits better. I think it's
Mhm.
like it was written better for him for this movie. And I loved the relationship and the struggle that he had with his son,
Mhm.
who's autistic, and he's trying to make these really tough decisions as a father. He's Now, I will tell you, because I know you don't like unlikable characters. He's not the most likable character.
I've heard this.
Okay, he's not, and so you're not really someone who you shouldn't be rooting for him because of the decisions he makes. Like, he makes some really terrible decisions,
Mhm.
but there's something about it that I'm like, I don't agree with you, but I understand why you're doing this, right?
But you kind of feel because of the situation he's in.
Exactly, exactly. And the kid who plays the autistic child does such a really good job, and they handle his autism the way that they write it. Uh, they handle it really well, a lot like they do with the Netflix series called Love on the Spectrum,
Oh
where
yeah.
you're not laughing at them, you're laughing with them.
Yeah.
And that could be a really hard thing to do when you write characters like that, where the audience themselves uh, because people pick on people all the time, that it's a difficult balance to like balance that trait of that
Mhm.
person. And I felt like they did a really good job with him, with the person who plays Ezra. And Robert De Niro, the dynamic between Robert De Niro and the lead as father and son, there's a great relationship between the two of them as well. It's written really well. Robert De Niro is not taking over the film,
Mhm.
and he's not in it that much, but he does a really good job. So
Okay.
it's very sweet movie. And that was another AMC unseen screen
Mhm.
unseen. So they surprised me again with another movie. Number 10 would be Tuesday.
Oh,
Yes.
I've watched this one. That's surprising that this is on your best of.
Dude, I did not think that this was going to be on my best of, but I kept coming back to it. I watched this movie alone. And here's the funny thing: halfway through the movie, I stopped because we had to go run an errand, and I'm in the car with my wife, and this movie is still playing in my head, and I'm
Yeah.
going, Dana, I need to tell you the premise of this movie because I think it's really, really interesting. And so I explained it to her what's going on about the whole death thing, and he needs to do his job and he can't because we as people are holding on to the people that we don't want to let go. And we recently lost our dog about a
Mhm.
year ago, and we had to deal with that decision to let her go.
Mhm.
And people struggle with that all the time. They become selfish and they want to hold on to that person when they know that person is either A, suffering, and so
Mhm.
you're being selfish by holding on to that person. But B, with this movie, what does that mean for everybody else in the world
Yeah.
if they can't do the same? You know, if they have people out here suffering because you're sitting there not allowing your turn to let this person go, you're holding up the rest of everybody. Holding up Death's job.
Hmm.
And so that thought behind it, I thought was a really original thought and
Yeah.
plot to deal with, not just a typical mourning of someone, right? And not just a typical let's watch this story about this girl who has this terminal illness, but how does that impact everybody else in the entire world? And
Yeah. Because
I had never heard that story before.
death in this is represented by this just very eerie looking macaw.
Exactly.
And Julia Louise Dreyfus
Yep.
is the mother of this girl who's,
Yep.
on death's door that the macaw comes for.
Yep.
It's a very interesting movie if you have never seen it, and it's also on Max.
Yep. It's on Max. And it's one that just go into it blindly. To be
Yeah.
honest with you, if anybody wants to watch it, and just I know it's weird, but like just keep rolling with it, and you'll see
Yeah.
how it unfolds, and just kind of take it all in. And it's
Mhm.
sad too. It's really sad.
It
I
is
thought the
sad.
ending was, yeah, the
But it
ending really
also
good.
has like some beauty to it with like
It does.
when you see like the macaw's point of view.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Um, and it's a subject that we've all dealt with. I feel like we've
Yeah.
all had some kind of loss, so we all can deal with can relate. Number 9 is a surprising movie that I didn't expect to go in my movie. Another film that I watched blindly and is controversial right now. Um, Amelia Perez.
Oh, we haven't gotten it in Columbus yet.
It's on Netflix.
What?
Yes, it was a Netflix original.
What the dude? Somebody told me this was in theaters, and I was like, dang it, I need to see it because me and Corey we try and watch as many of the Oscar nominees as we can,
Yeah,
and I've been hearing a lot of buzz where this is going to be nominated for Oscar.
I had heard that too, and I don't remember what it was nominated for, but I
I
was
know it got
like,
Golden Globes.
it got Golden Globes. I think it got Critics' Choice, but this was before that.
Mhm.
I think it may have been TIFF. It may have been
Yeah.
TIFF. But I was like, what is this movie? And so I was just searching for it, trying to find out on Just Watch where it was, and it said it was on Netflix. And I was like, check Netflix. I did not read the synopsis. I just hit play. I knew it was a musical,
Oh,
and
I didn't know.
it's a musical, and I love musicals. And I just hit play, and I was sucked in after the first 10 minutes
Hmm.
on the story
Yeah.
and how original it was. Um, some may say that the film isn't as ambitious as it could be with its message,
Mm-hmm.
and but I thought it was entertaining. It's
Hmm.
from it's hits hard with the LGBTQ community, and
Okay.
I'm not part of that community, so I can't really say whether or not this is representative of that community in the
Mm-hmm.
right way or anything. But for me, I just thought it was entertaining. Um, the musical numbers are good; they're not great. The choreography is not great, but the story itself, I thought it was really interesting, and I think it's based on a true story, but I'm not 100%
Hmm.
sure. Um, but check it out. Amita
Okay.
Threat.
Can do. Can do.
Number 8 is Furiosa.
Hell yeah, my guy. This one's in my top 13 also.
I would have added this a lot higher, but sometimes with sequels, I kind of put them, or prequels, I kind of put them a little bit lower just because I like to put more original stuff towards the top.
I do the IP rule. If
Ah,
it's a, like you said, if it's a sequel, a prequel,
mm-hmm.
if it's in an IP type thing like the MCU or something, I
Yeah,
dock points,
yep,
or
me
I
too.
will for that very reason.
I agree. Unless it's one that I'm like, I've seen this 3 4 times. I haven't seen
Mhm.
anything better than this. Like or it lifts the IP more than it's supposed to. Um, that's why Furiosa kind of made it to my list. I felt like it was mad. It was more Mad Max, but I felt like they
Yeah.
made it a little bit bigger in story and bigger in scale.
And dude, Anya
Um,
Taylor Joy,
and Anya Taylor Joy was phenomenal.
so good.
And Chris Hemsworth was chewing up all the
Dude,
scenery.
Chris Hemsworth was like, oh, I get to be a crazy Australian. Yeah, let's
Yeah,
go.
yeah. He went all out for that movie. And the one scene where the flare goes on, I think it's a flare, and the red paint like
Oh
goes in his
yeah.
face and then it goes over his cape.
And he's
And
just like,
so
ha.
yes, but you like see the progression of the character because he started out with a white cape, and
Hmm.
then it becomes brown, and then it becomes red. So you can feel the
Hmm.
evil, change over of this character. And I was like, that's just brilliant, absolutely brilliant,
Hmm.
and great cinematography and great sound and great action. I just love it. I thought it was great. So, a
Yeah,
lot of
George
fun.
Millar.
George Millar, yes. um, okay, number 7.
Hmm.
Another movie that will shock people to be on my list that will not be on anyone else's top 10 list or top 13. It will not be on your list. It will not be on your honorable mentions. It is going to be on your worst list.
Oh,
And number 7 is Joker Folie à Deux.
you're darn right. It's on my worst of. You're darn right. It is, brother. That's top 5 in my worst of list.
Dude,
What's
I
wrong with? What's
love
your problem?
I love Joker Folie à Deux.
Oy vey.
Here's the thing. Here's,
Yeah, yeah,
I,
yeah. Explain this. Explain
let's
yourself.
let's say a couple of things. First of all, I was let's say this. I was annoyed when I went to go see this movie because when I get to the ticket counter to show her my ticket, she goes, "I want to warn you, this movie has not been received well, and it's a musical." I I didn't ask her anything. I don't know why. Apparently it's because of all the people that are coming back after seeing the movie and talking about how terrible it is and they want their refund and yada yada yada. And I'm just like, why would you immediately tell me that as soon as you scan my ticket? Do you know how many bad movies I've come to see this year at this theater?
A lot.
Like, why this one?
Because it's that bad.
It is not.
It is.
It is not. Here's okay. Everyone went into this movie with a predetermined idea of what they wanted this movie to be about. Okay? Because we've established the Joker already in the first film.
Correct.
And you have this rampage of followers, okay, who now worship the Joker.
Correct.
Now we want to see the Joker in his prime and see him rampage all over Gotham to help create the Batman character, okay, to come and save Gotham. So we want to see the rampage of what now the Joker is all
That's
about.
not what I want.
I think that's what a lot of people wanted, though.
Maybe. Not me.
Okay.
I wanted one thing that they didn't give.
Okay, so you'll have to tell me what that one thing is. But I think that that's what a lot of people's predetermined idea was before they went to go see
Which is
this
a fair
movie.
notion.
And it's fair. It's so I get it. I totally get it. But the fact that they don't do that and they just stay on the Arthur Fleck character and just showcase him, and we dive deeper into his character and who he is, along with someone who gives him some type of attention. Okay, just like in the first Joker, where someone comes along and he finally has a friend and someone who likes him, that he's able to enjoy life and see things in color and sing songs to make him feel better and him come out of this rut. And come out of this rut of who he is. I thought it was a great idea. You know, it's different. It's a telling of someone who thinks that he's the Joker. We all think that he's the Joker, wanting to be the Joker, but really he's not. And the joke's on you.
Yeah, the joke is on me because I went opening night to this freaking movie.
I just thought it was a great story.
Here's my thing, okay? You get Lady Gaga, and you, as a director, are like, hey, I want this movie to just be weird, so we're going to need you to unlearn to sing because Arthur can't sing. So we need you to sound as terrible as he does. Like, how can you do that to Lady Gaga?
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily that.
No, that's what it is. She specifically had to learn to sing off key so that it matched where Arthur was at.
I understand that, but also at the same time, you have two people who are in an insane asylum that are broken.
Well, one's broken.
Okay, they're both broken, dude.
One decided to show up.
That's what I'm gonna say. One decided to check herself in. Okay, I understand that, but if you decide to check yourself in, you're broken too. Okay.
Dog, look, she just like all these Instagram girls. She just more committed. Okay.
But here's the thing: if they're both broken characters, why would they sound like a Broadway?
Because it's a dream sequence.
But still, you can't. No, I just.
All I wanted outrageous dance numbers with good singing, and instead, most of the numbers are them looking at each other and talking to each other.
But I was okay with that.
Yeah, that was.
It worked. It worked for me. I do agree that I wish that if they were going to go with the musical approach, they should have just made it a full-blown Broadway musical of the 1950s or something.
Exactly.
I agree that they should have done that in the traditional sense, but it's not a traditional Broadway musical. It's just a movie with musical scenes in them. And
I'm moving it up my list. I'm moving it higher on my worst of list.
Again, with all the bad movies that I had seen, this is one of those movies that I was like, this is not as bad as you guys are saying that it is.
True.
And because I liked the acting and the cinematography and the editing and the story itself of this.
I didn't even like the acting.
The problem with this movie is that it's called The Joker.
No, that's a fair. I said that same thing when I reviewed it. I said if this movie had not been called The Joker 2,
that's exactly right.
No one would have a problem. They would just be like, okay, that's not great. But
That's
when you
exactly right.
have the Joker and you
Yeah.
get this, you know.
It is the same problem with all superhero comic book IP. If
Yeah.
it is not the way that they envision their comic book, and it's not true to the form of the comic book that they like, because there are multiple iterations of this comic book. If it's not the one that they like, they're going to trash it and put it in the garbage. And
Hmm.
nobody liked the fact that they were turning this into a musical in the first place. So that's strike one to begin with.
Yeah.
So you
That's fair.
have that as a strike, and then you have it as not the character that they wanted to see. It you're destined to fail. Like, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but it is. It's but at the same time, I had to take it on its own merit and for what Todd Phillips was giving me, and because I do like this Arthur Fleck character, and I do like the struggle that he has with his uh, mental issues, that I was okay with it. I didn't need to see the story of Joker, but I wish that they had just not called it Joker.
Yeah.
Like, my wife is a huge fan of Jumanji, right? The
Right.
original with Robin Williams. She hates the Dwayne Johnson Jumanji because it's called Jumanji.
Yeah. If it was just a movie.
If it was just a movie, it would have been just fine.
Yeah.
But because you attach that name to it,
They always
it
got to add the
automatically.
IP, man.
Yeah.
Hey, I can't wait till they come out with Hungry Hungry Hippos.
um. Yeah. So, but I love Joker Falloon, dude,
That's fair. That's fair.
and so it's on my list. It's at 7, so it's not the best, but it's not as bad as everybody says it is. I enjoyed it. Uh, Number 6, Dune Part 2.
Oof.
What?
So big controversy. My buddy Jerfy Choo Choo showed up. Big controversy in our group between me and my co-host Trey,
Okay.
because I don't think Dune 2 was good. He thinks it's one of the best films of the year.
I don't think it's one of the best films of the year, but I do think it's one of the most entertaining films of the year.
See, I didn't even feel it was entertaining. I was not a
I thought
fan.
I thought it was fun. To me, it felt a lot like Empire Strikes Back, in my opinion.
This man is crazy.
Yeah,
It felt.
this guy. It's a big controversy in our group.
Well, I thought it was great. I mean, I just thought it was like, here's another chapter in this guy's story
The Lisa
where,
Gaib.
yes, I can never pronounce any of the characters' names,
No.
any of the, whatever. But it was just such a gripping story. I love the scale of this movie. I saw this in IMAX,
Yeah, I
and
did see
I
it in
was just like,
IMAX.
this thing is huge. Like, any of the times when they were on the sand dunes and all the spaceships came across and they're running past them, and I'm just like, this is massive. It's beautiful, I love the relationship between him and Zendaya. I loved it all. It was like, give me more. And I'm not a fan of the original Dune.
Yeah.
I don't really like that.
I watched the original Doom for the first time recently.
Yeah.
What a fever dream that movie is compared to this.
It really is.
Like, that movie is, if you showed that to like a kid nowadays, like a 17-year-old,
Yeah.
they would be like, what am I watching? Who was on
Yes.
LSD?
Yes. Yes. It's terrible. But I love Dune.
Yeah.
I love Dune. I think they're fun. And so it made it on my list as number 6. I can't wait to see the third one. Number 5
Top 5.
here's the top 5, is Transformers 1.
That's what I'm talking about.
Loved Transformers 1.
Every time I saw that trailer,
Yeah.
I was so mad. I was like, what is this garbage?
I totally agree.
Single time I saw that trailer. And I go to the theater a lot.
Yep.
So they kept
And
playing
you saw it a
was,
lot.
And I was just like, please, anything but Transformers 1 to come on. I'd be like, no.
Yep.
This movie is fantastic.
It is amazing. It is the Transformer movies of all Transformer movies. It does such a great job of establishing a relationship between Optimus and Megatron. You feel the turn. You feel the betrayal because you're along with them for the whole ride. I felt like Chris Helmsworth did a great acting job. God, what's my dude's name? Who played Megatron? Damn, I can't remember his name. But the voice acting was great. The animation was fantastic. It was funny as hell.
It was real funny. It was real funny.
Keegan, Mike, and Keel, one of them.
Keegan Michael Key. Brian Tyree Henry is Megatron.
Brian Tyree Henry. Love Brian Tyree Henry. Phenomenal job. Keegan Michael Key. Great comedy act. Again, that ending, when he's going down, right? And then he comes back up as a Prime.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh my
You're like, that is Optimus right there.
That is Optimus Prime. That is Optimus Prime. I thought it was great. I love this movie. This was like what Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem did for me.
Yeah.
The exact same thing. That I'm like, I feel like these stories, the only way that you can tell them well is by doing them in animation style.
There's just so much more freedom.
So much more freedom to be more creative and show. You cannot pull off these scenes in Cybertron like this.
Yeah.
It's impossible to do it live action. No, I love Transformers 1. I just got it on 4K and I haven't watched it yet, but I'm going to. It's so good. Number 4 is a movie we kind of mentioned a little bit earlier that it's on your watch list, which is Babes.
Oh, this movie.
I love it. Michelle Boutreau, Ileana Glazer. Love both of them. I'm not really a huge fan of her comedy, Ileana Glazer, but the fact that she wrote this movie while she was doing her from her diary notes when she was pregnant, I thought it was just a great idea, and it shows because the reality of the movie is there. You feel it. You're like, this is really what women go through, when they're pregnant or whatever. It's so funny. That movie is great. Babes, number 4. Number 3, Sing Sing.
Okay.
Coleman Domingo.
The man, the myth, the legend.
The man, the myth, the legend. Phenomenal acting in this movie. Have you seen it?
No. Remember we talked about it when I got out of the theater.
Last time. Oh, when you got out of the theater?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I can't remember. Sorry.
No, because I got out of the theater and I told you, like, I could not have expected how good the movie was. No. And then you said one of the greatest quotes I've ever heard, where you're talking about the movie and you were saying, this is the first film about, a prison where they don't talk about them as a number. They don't talk about them as a crime they've done. Because you never once are told what a single person who's in there was in there for. You just see them as people.
Yeah, it's not important to the story, and I think that's a great idea. And the fact that they used real incarcerated people.
Yeah, the people from Sing Sing are in this
to do this, and there's a moment where they are actually talking to camera as if they're giving their confession about certain things, and you're just like, oh my God! I was watching it, and I was going, are these actors? Or are these real people? And then I went and Googled it later, and I was like, I just think that that's a brilliant.
And they're playing themselves.
And they're playing themselves. I'm like, dude, this is amazing. It's such a good movie. Such a good movie. Sing Sing, number 3. Number 2 is the one you mentioned that you're coming around to.
Yep.
I believe this is the movie you're talking about. Challengers.
We had a big talk about this when it first came out because you were like, this is my number 1 movie of the year. I was like, you're right. This is my number 1 worst of the year.
Yep.
But as we've discussed, I it's one where the more I've thought about it, and I even
Yeah.
rewatched it, I'm a fair man. It's one where I'm like, okay, these characters are horrendous human beings. And I hate the director's choice of, much like a tennis ball on a court. I think this was the analogy you used. Much like a tennis ball on the court, it's time jumping like everywhere. You're like, okay, here's here. Now we're 2 years in the forward. Now we're, 8 years backwards. Now we're 8 years backwards in a day. But to me, there's no denying, if you just look at the fact, this movie has some of the best acting of the year. Zendaya and the two leads, incredible. The cinematography, incredible. Like, there's no denying this film. If you just go by the measuring stick of how it's crafted, this is one of the best made films of the year. There's no denying that.
Yeah. It's just astounding that they were able to tell this story and keep me hooked of watching this ball going back and forth, and be able to understand where we are in time and what's happening with all these relationships as they're pinging back and forth. I think that's a great compliment to the creators of this movie. I've seen Zendaya do better work in like Euphoria, whatever. I've seen her do better work, but she is phenomenal in this movie. I did not know who Josh O'Connor was, but loved him. And Michael Feist is amazing in this movie as well. And I'm a huge fan of. Well, I'm not really a huge fan of Luke Gordianos, who is the director of Challengers. He's another one of those who can make a good movie and then make a bad movie, right?
Yeah.
He did. I think he did Call Me by Your Name, which
that's the only one I know he did besides Challengers.
He did Call Me by Your Name, which I really liked. He did Bones and All, which is really good.
Yeah, Bones and All was good.
Yeah, but then he also, and this is gonna trigger some people possibly. He also did Queer that came out this year.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet with Daniel Craig.
Hated that movie.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to give you a report once I see it. We haven't got it yet.
It's getting a lot of buzz from different award people.
Okay.
But I did not like Queer at all. So we definitely didn't talk about that. So I was kind of like, I don't know about, but he's good. But love Challengers. And it was my number one.
I know. Now I don't know, because I said going into this, I was like, I know Sing Sing's in your top. I know Challengers might still be your number one.
Challengers was in my number one until I watched it the second time. And it kind of went down a little bit for me in score, not much, because it doesn't have a whole lot of replay value. But then this movie came along that I adore. That's my number one, The Wild Robot.
Dude,
I love
Wild Robot. Small spoiler for when we do ours. Wild Robot's my number two.
I love The Wild Robot.
That movie is
it's so beautiful.
There's something about, because I can be a bit of an animation snob. And the animation is not the best if you go by certain styles.
Yeah.
But the movie, the color is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Lupita's voice.
Yeah.
All the little animals, the story itself, that movie, the scene where Lupita is going out getting all the animals and brings them into the hut, and they're all fighting, and as she's basically dying, she's like, look, until winter's over, just be nice.
Yeah.
And everyone, and I forgot who it was, maybe the bear or somebody.
He's in their mouth.
Yeah. And then somebody was like, look, she saved all you. She didn't have to. She could have let you stay out there. Yep. So at least you can do listen to her. As long as we're in here, no one's eating
Yep.
anybody. We're just gonna get along.
Yep.
And that movie it melted my heart, man. It's so good.
It's so sweet. It is
Yeah.
so sweet, and it's honestly, I had seen that marketing for a while where the first couple of times that they showed the trailer, there's no dialogue at all.
Yeah.
So I thought, what an ambitious idea to tell this animation with no dialogue. I thought we were going to have a silent movie. I honestly
Have you seen
did.
Flow?
No, I haven't seen that yet. It's on my list.
I saw Flow, and buddy, let me tell you, Flow is what you're actually talking about.
Okay. So I thought that's what we were going to get with this movie based off of the trailers. And I was like, that is interesting. I'm really on board. And then they came out with the second and third trailer and they started talking. And I was just like, oh, shit. I was like, this is another one, the talking animals movie. This is not going to be all that great. But I melted like after the first 10, 15 minutes.
It's a monster.
Yeah. The kids are so cute.
It's so good.
They're so cute. They're so cute. And here's the thing: you have a huge cast of people that I feel like their voices are unrecognizable after a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
You've got Bing Rames, you've got Pedro Pascal, Bill Nye, Catherine O'Hara, Lupita Nyong'o, Mark Hamill,
and
all these
they
big
just don't
people.
matter because you get to this point.
They don't matter.
Where you're just enjoying being there.
Yes. And again, another movie after I had seen all these terrible movies and all, the world is so cynical and and all this, whatever seriousness, then I was just like, this is so simple and this is just so good, sweet movie. I love The Wild Robot. It's
Dude,
my number one.
That has me pumped because, like I said, it's my number two. It's one. Like, I'm a big animal guy, and so when I saw the first trailer, I was like, I don't even care what this is about. I'm like, robot in the wild, bunch of animals. Like, I gotta see it.
Yeah.
Dude, you really need to check out Flow.
It's on my list.
Flow, it's getting, but it could potentially be Oscar nominee. Okay. It's getting a bunch of awards. So Flow, zero dialogue. Basically, a great flood happens, and this cat gets stuck on this boat with a capybara, some dogs, and a bird. And here's the thing, okay? Every animal in this movie, they had their sound engineer go record.
Oh, nice.
The animal. So when you hear the cat making different noises, where it's meowing, hissing, whatever, they got a real cat that they recorded. The bird is a real bird. The dogs are real dogs barking.
Nice.
And the capybara, though, they said they didn't like the sound, so they got a baby camel. Because they said it felt more like the character. So zero dialogue, just an hour 20 of animals making noises.
Uh-huh.
But the color of that movie, and one of the most beautiful, heaven death scenes I've ever seen in a movie.
Wow.
The way they go about, showing a visual representation of someone dying and going to heaven.
Yeah.
I was flabbergasted.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to see this. I have this, this is going to sound really weird, but I have this thing about movies that portray heaven and afterlife.
Yeah.
That's a genre that I really like watching. There's a movie, a 1980s film called Defending Your Life with Albert Brooks and Meryl Streep. Beautiful movie. It's a romantic comedy.
Defending Your Life. I got to add that to the list.
It's a romantic comedy, and it's all about the afterlife. And it's hilarious. It's hilarious. But, any movie that depicts or showcases that at some point in the movie about afterlife, I'm on board.
Well, then you'll like Flow, I'm telling you.
Okay, I need to check it out. I need to see if it's playing anywhere.
But so The Wild Robot your best movie of the year,
Yep.
and what was your worst movie of the year?
Madam Web, dude.
Okay, I had to double check. Because I was like, it wasn't Lisa Frankenstein.
No.
Madam Web, much earned worst of the year. I wouldn't argue with anybody. Like I said, I've seen worse. I'll send you my list of movies I think are worse than Madam Web. I think it's up to like 25.
Oof.
Yeah. Dude, I'm telling you, I've seen worse, my guy. But
Crazy.
Corey, we appreciate you being on here. Guys,
Yeah,
Corey, one of the only people I know who's as crazy a movie fan as I am, going to a theater. I mean, he's got rookie numbers, no big deal. He's in the 70s for trips to the theater.
But here's the thing. My total count of movies watched for the year is 320.
So, see, he's beat me this year.
So, and I'm still going.
You know, your boy's at 106 trips to the theater.
I envy you for that.
You know, when this is free of a ring, it's pretty easy to go to a theater, my guy. You just decide, hey, it's Tuesday at 5:00. I ain't got nowhere to be.
They would have thought that I was dating somebody at the theater if I was able to go and do that like as much as you have. Trust me, I would be there.
Hey, that's all I want. Somebody meet me there. They can fix my popcorn for me. It's like, oh, thanks, sweetie. Let me go to Auditorium 5.
Have you seen like how much you've actually paid for the year of like stuff?
Well, so I do A-list.
Yeah, but there's a way that you can like figure out, okay, if a movie ticket costs blah blah blah, how much should I actually save?
Oh, dude, no, it's a lot. But here's the crazy thing, because when my buddies were still in North Carolina, I went and saw them, and they had like no AMC's there, so I went to a bunch of movies there. And then sometimes, because I'm such a sicko going to theater so much, some of the screen unseens, I'll just pay the $5 for because I've used my A-list for the week. Wow. So you know what? I'll make that my homework. I'm gonna go in and see, because I mark everything down if it's screen unseen or not, and I'm gonna go through and see how much I would have and how much I actually did.
Okay.
And I'm gonna let you know. I'm gonna give you a follow up.
Okay. Good deal.
But guys, we're glad you're here. Like I said, this is the first part of many. We got my buddy Corey, his worst and best of. Next up, we're going to be recording Jerfy Choo Choo's list. And then me and Trey, end of the year, we're going to argue because I'm going to tell him Dune 2 should not be in your top 10. Just like I told Corey. Don't worry, Jerfy's on your side. Look, I know I'm in a losing battle. Okay? But it's okay. I'm going to learn the Benny Gesserit voice. And I'm going to make y'all all put Dune 2 in the worst of. You know, I'm going to learn it. Paul Atreides coming in hot.
Okay.
But if y'all want to tell us what you think is the best of or worst of, or maybe why Corey needs to back off of Lisa Frankenstein, leave her alone. She's just a girl.
No.
Or maybe you want to tell him why Wild Robot is indeed the best of the year. There's so many ways you can do it. You can check out Corey on Twitter at New Film Editor. Did I say that right?
No, it's like Edit Photo Gamer.
Oh, gosh darn it. He changed it on me.
Yeah, Edit Photo Gamer.
At Edit Photo Gamer. He'll be tagged in this. At Edit Photo Gamer on Twitter. You can check us out on Twitter at film_toast. Or check us out on wonderful YouTube, where you can see, look at this handsome devil with his Santa hat. Look at this man. What a handsome guy. But we just hope you have a good night and good viewing. Dude, another solid episode, my guy.
I'm so long-winded, though.
Dude,